is succumbing to the many crises it faces. First, it was the COVID-19 pandemic. Then came the war in Ukraine and the associated energy crisis. The energy crisis was followed by a severe heat wave which triggered perhaps one of the most severe droughts in the history of Europe. The drought threatens Europe's electricity generation capacity and also its food security. Meanwhile, inflation is skyrocketing, and the only way out of it for the European Union is a continental recession of epic proportions. Simultaneously, the euro has fallen to a 2-decade low against the US dollar. To put it plainly, things are getting really bad and painful for Europe. Europe's 4 big economies, Germany, France, Italy, and Spain, all face imminent threats of recession. Once these big players of the Eurozone slip into a recession, a domino effect is likely to also plunge smaller economies of the EU into economic depressions. Europe's currency, the euro, has fallen to a 2-decade low against the US dollar. The euro traded at 0.9903 against the US dollar on Tuesday morning. According to experts, the worst is yet to come for the European currency. European economies are pursuing aggressive interest rate hikes to try and curb inflation. Such moves, though, have startled investors who now believe that the EU is heading straight into a recession. Eurozone business activity, meanwhile, has suffered its biggest contraction for 18 months. The effects of such a contraction are most pronounced in Europe's biggest economies, Germany and France. Therefore, it is not surprising that French President Emmanuel Macron has publicly admitted to the country heading into tough times. While calling for sacrifices to be made by the people of France for the sake of freedom, Macron pointed out that France's era of abundance was likely coming to an end. Not only does Europe face an economic crisis, the forces of nature too seem to be acting against the bloc. As per the Global Drought Observatory, Europe is experiencing its worst drought in 500 years. Some level of drought alert has been sounded for 64% of Europe as of the 10th of August. Europe's biggest rivers, the Danube, the Rhine, and Po, are shrinking and beginning to dry up. Eastern, Central, and Southern Europe have seen no significant rainfall in the last 2 months. The lack of rainfall and the resultant inadequate water supply is exacerbating Europe's energy woes. Hydroelectric power has reduced by a significant 20% across the EU. Some European countries have also been forced to impose restrictions on water usage. Speaking of energy, wholesale gas prices in Europe have risen sharply this week after Russia announced that it would shut down the Nord Stream 1 pipeline for yet another round of maintenance. European nations once again fear that supplies via the pipeline may never resume. Each day that gas does not pass through the Nord Stream 1 pipeline makes the possibility of an excruciating winter even more pronounced for Europe. So far, there are no answers as to how Europe is going to combat these issues. While the summer months have proven to be scorching periods of torment, the winter promises to be even more painful for the bloc. How do you think Europe will survive the many crises it faces, if at all? Do let us know in the comments.
If you have